Nothing is more harmful to the world than a martial art that is not effective in actual self-defense. Hello everyone, I'm Tim. Did you know even the great karate masters of old weren't above petty squabbling? A few weeks ago, in the video about Motobu Choki, I hinted at the fact that Motobu had opponents. Well, as I mentioned in that video, Motobu wasn't easygoing and didn't like too much bullshit. So when he arrived in Japan and heard there was an Okinawan there teaching karate, he wanted to know who this was. You can read about this in the various direct and indirect sources that exist about Motobu and Funakoshi. Perhaps most notably in Hanshi McCarthy's translation of Motobu Choki's Karate, My Art. But also on Jesse Enkamp's website karatebijesse.com, link in the description down below. The following can be read in McCarthy's book, page 52. When I came to Tokyo, there was another Okinawan there teaching karate quite actively. When in Okinawa, I hadn't even heard his name. Upon the guidance of another Okinawan, I went to the place he was teaching youngsters, where he was running his mouth bragging. Upon seeing this, I grabbed his hand, took up the position of kake kumite and said, "What will you do?" He was hesitant, and I thought to punch him would be too much. So I threw him with kotegaeshi, at which he fell to the ground with a thud. He got up, his face red, and said, "Once more." So he took up the position of kake kumite again, and again I threw him with kotegaeshi. He did not relent and asked for another bout. So he was thrown the same way for a third time. In different versions of the story, the outcome seems to always be Funakoshi getting thrown to the ground. This created a bellicose descent between the two karate masters. From what I can gather, however, it was mostly Motobu who dealt out the verbal punishment towards Funakoshi. The latter usually limited himself to pointing out Motobu's inability to speak proper Japanese and calling him illiterate. There is one incident where Motobu went to a boxing match where Oriental martial artists were pit against Western fighters, a sort of UFC avant la lettre East meets West type of event. These types of events were held quite regularly, about as soon as there was a Western presence in the Far East, and is something that appears in movies often as well. There, he volunteered to fight against an enormous European or Russian boxer. This was shortly after Motobu had moved to Japan, so he would have been in his late 40s, early 50s. No longer a young man by any stretch of the imagination. Motobu fought the man, and won without too much difficulty. He was described to have a great defensive position and a fast and powerful strike. In his own words, "When I fought the foreign boxer in Kyoto, he was taller than me, so I jumped up and punched him in the face. This is effective against people who are taller than you." The newspaper that wrote about this fight, however, published a drawing of the winning Okinawan. Now take a look at it. Doesn't it look like an Okinawan we all know by now? That's right! The newspaper printed an image that bared resemblance to Funakoshi, not Motobu. Funakoshi was never known to correct this error, and it is highly possible that this led to a rise in interest in Funakoshi's brand of karate. As I said before, Funakoshi was more composed and rarely resorted to openly insult Motobu. Motobu, however, came up with more epic insults. Let's go over some of the juicy ones. When told Funakoshi held a fifth dan, Motobu reacted, 5th dan? So what does that make me? 10th dan? 11th dan? Harsh. When talking about Funakoshi, Motobu called his style diaphanous and referred to him as a shamisen. Beautiful sound, but hollow inside. Ouch. His insults weren't always so refined though, as this next quote shows. Funakoshi can only copy the master's elegance by performing the outer portion of what they taught him, and uses that to mislead others into believing that he is an expert when he is not. These demonstrations were simply implausible. This kind of person is a good-for-nothing scallywag. In fact, his tricky behavior and eloquent explanation easily deceives people. To the naive person, Funakoshi's demonstration and explanation represent the real art. Nothing is more harmful to the world than a martial art that is not effective in actual self-defense. If that stupid person opens a dojo, then let him fight with me and I'll make him go back to Okinawa. That would be a real benefit to the world. All said and done, it was Funakoshi, not Motobu, who succeeded in spreading his brand of karate to the rest of the world. Though to be fair, his expansion was also the merit of Funakoshi's son and his disciples. It's ironic really that it was largely thanks to the efforts of those hollow violence that Motobu's style did not slip into oblivion, as they attracted the attention of us Westerners to come to Japan and later Okinawa. Next week I'm going to tackle another controversial subject. See, in the wake of the recent Olympics, I'll give my 2 cents about competitive karate. So, what do you guys think about the feud between these two karate giants? Do you know 2 people who just can't seem to get along? Do you maybe have an ongoing rivalry with someone? I would love to get some juicy details about that. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. For now, let me wish you a great day. And as always, thanks for watching.